Well, this is section 3.5 in the calculus, and the topic is derivatives of trigonometric functions. And here are the derivatives, and you have the worksheet. And so now let's do a few of these. So for the first one, y equals x squared minus sine x. Well, the derivative by the power rule of x squared is 2x, and the derivative of sine x is cosine of x. So there it is. We're done. Now here we're going to need the product rule because we've got the product of two functions of x. So let's hold e to the x constant and take the derivative of sine x, which is cosine of x, plus now we'll hold sine x constant and take the derivative of e to the x, which is e to the x. So there we have it, and if you want we can factor an e to the x out of both terms and we get cosine of x plus sine of x. Now let's do c, and that's, let's see, y equals sine of x over x. So now we need the quotient rule. So y prime equals, and we'll square the denominator. And now we'll hold x constant and take the derivative of sine x, which is cosine of x. So we get x cosine of x. And now we'll hold, put a negative sign there, hold sine of x constant and take the derivative of x, which is just 1. So we get sine of x, and there's y prime. Now let's see, do we have room for this next one? Yeah, we do, right here. So we'll do d. And we get y equals 5e to the x plus cosine of x. So y prime equals, and the derivative of 5e to the x is 5e to the x. The derivative of cosine of x is minus sine of x. Well, we just have two more to do, so let's get them. And that is, we did d, let's do e. So e, y equals sine of x cosine of x. So we need to use the product rule. So y prime equals, holding sine of x constant, taking the derivative of cosine of x, which is negative sine of x, we get negative sine squared of x. Plus, now we'll hold cosine of x constant and take the derivative of sine of x, which is cosine of x, and we wind up with cosine squared of x. Well, I'd always rather lead out with the positive. So cosine squared of x minus sine squared of x. Now let's do f, and we get y equals cosine of x over 1 minus sine of x. So y prime equals, and we square the denominator, 1 minus sine of x. I'm going to square that. And then we'll hold 1 minus sine x constant and take the derivative of cosine of x, which is negative, and by the way, I'm holding this 1 minus sine x constant, and the derivative of cosine of x is minus sine of x. Now minus, and now we'll hold cosine of x constant and take the derivative of 1 minus sine of x, which is going to be derivative of 1 is 0, derivative of minus sine x is minus cosine of x. Let's see if I can simplify all this stuff. So y prime equals, let's see, we can't forget our denominator, so that's going to be 1 minus sine x, and that's squared. And so minus sine x times minus sine x is a plus sine squared x. So that's going to be sine squared x. And minus sine x times 1 is minus sine x. And minus cosine x times minus cosine x is cosine squared of x. Well, we're not done with that, so hold on to that image, jot that down, and I'll erase this and we'll go up here and finish that off. Yeah, we'll finish that off. And so we're moving right up here, and we're going to simplify that. So that's y prime equals, and remember, sine squared x plus cosine squared x is 1. And we still have a minus sine x. And underneath we have minus 1 minus sine x, and that's squared. So I'm just going to write it as 2 factors of 1 minus sine x. And notice, one of these factors divides out, so we just get 1 over 1 minus sine x. That's a great little problem. So, okay, we're done with that one.